Hi, I'm Marty Schupak. Welcome to Schupak Sports, and you'll be watching T-ball practice template number 12. If you're involved at all with T-ball, Little League, or you're a parent that wants to get your kids involved in an activity, I welcome you. My video modules run anywhere from 18 to 25 minutes. I go through it fairly quickly. And the process is I will hold up pictures, hopefully not too far from the camera, not too close, and I'll give an explanation. I'm going through a typical T-ball practice. Some of the drills, if they are repeated, and I repeat a lot of drills, listen closely because I am sure I add subtle hints, not just for coaching T-ball, but for other sports. My goal is to make you a better parent, a better coach, and have your kids have an opportunity to become a good athlete and to get exposed to athletics in such a way that even if they just play for a limited time, it'll help them in their confidence and in their development to become a good citizen, okay? Now, this is also sponsored by T-Ball America, tballamerica.com. Please check out the website. Anywhere from T-Ball up to that college scholarship, we try to cover everything. I like to start out each session with a trivia question. This is baseball. Okay, who is the only baseball pitcher to win 3 World Series in 3 different decades? And I'm going to give you choices. Let me repeat it. Who's the only pitcher to ever win 3 World Series in 3 different decades? And here's the choice. Was it Cy Young, Sandy Koufax, Jim Palmer, or Lefty Gomez? Okay, let's get right into it. And I will go through each drill. Keep in mind, too, I like to start every practice with exercise warming up anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. Make sure you do it. If you've seen us before, you'll see this is the line throw drill where I line up balls in front of the shortstop and third base. I'll go and I'll point to the ball. The player will throw the ball to first. Now, again, in T-ball, you want to use a coach at first base. You don't want to use a player. After the first player goes, he goes to the end of the next line. And then this player goes, he goes to the end of the next line. It's a good drill, and you try to shorten the field for your young T-ballers, and they don't have to reach on the fly, especially early in the season. They get a lot of repetitions in a fairly short period of time. Then I'll go right to a drill called the circle drill. Okay, where we put players in a circle. And you don't want to really do this drill early in the season, like the first or second week. And the object is, after the first throw by the coach, every player has to pick up the ball when it's thrown to them, catch it, and they have to then throw it. The only rule is they cannot throw it to the player next to them. I've shown this drill before. It's a good drill. And the benefit of this is the players learn to keep their head down on the ball, and they learn to follow instructions. I'm a big believer in a lot of these drills to start out doing them barehanded. Okay, after that, what we're going to do is it's a good time to utilize your assistant coaches and to break the players up into stations. Okay, by the way, I'm going to give an advanced tip coming up shortly. So I kind of use the theme of throwing in this particular practice, and I put 3 throw drills and another drill where a different assistant coach or parent could run. And the reason being is you're going to have kids that are coming back for their second year of T-ball, and you don't want them to be bored, okay? So you want to keep them stimulated. The first throwing drill, and I've shown this before, is the freestanding bench drill. And what we want to do is, if you have a freestanding bench or you use the bleachers, the player brings his arm down And what we're trying to do is get the player to experience what it feels, bring their arm all the way back. Now, keep in mind we're throwing a couple of different things. In a 4 or 5 month T-ball season, you could see incredible improvement with some kids, and some kids develop at different paces than others. Remember, you want to separate skills when you practice throwing. You want to use a target, not necessarily because they're going to hit the target, but using a target helps them steady their head, okay? And an interesting thing about throwing and all sports in general, if the T-ball player has an older brother or sister, you'll find that they could be more developed than other kids. All right, so that's one of the stations. Another station we do, this is going to seem very basic, but it's very effective. It's called the ball drag drill, where we're sitting kids down with their legs spread out. They're lined up next to each other, and what they want to do is drag the ball from in front of them all the way behind them, bring the ball up, and then throw it, release it. And a couple of things is they're going to release the ball in front of them, but you want to try to encourage them that their shoulder and elbow are almost even, okay? You don't have to be over obsessed by this, but you like to get them into the habit, just expose them to the elbow not going too low. You don't want to overcoach these kids too. So this is a second drill. And what we're doing with this, okay, is the players, when they're dragging the ball back, their fingers are automatically on top of the ball, and they're bringing their arm all the way back behind them. All right. Again, you spread the players out, they throw it into space. You could have a target out there, like a small cone. And again, we want to keep that head steady. All right. And what we're teaching here is the kids are only using the top of their body, and we're breaking down throwing by having them do the practical activity, not just telling them. It's so important in sports and coaching, especially with young kids. It's one thing to tell kids what to do, but to show them, having them experience, there's a lot more value put into that. This is something, a third station, where I call the multiple object throw. And what I do is I gather different types of object, like I'll do anything from different size balls, bean bags, even yarn, whatever, rolled up newspaper, which is hard to get these days. And you want to use safe object because in T-ball, again, you want to use non-threatening items. Remember, two of the biggest reasons why kids quit sports at a young age is because, number one, because of injury, and number two, because embarrassment in front of their peers. We want to do everything we could to make the players feel confident. All right. So we're taking different objects and we're having them thrown into space. Those are three different throwing drills for T-ballers. You want to rotate. You want to give them a few repetitions. If you rotate on those three drills, 2 or 3 minutes each, it could be up to like 8, 9, or 10 minutes. Okay. Now, what I do is I put another drill in, which I started. It's called the recycle bin drill. And I do this for some of the older kids in T-ball if they're not involved with those throwing drills. The one thing you have to understand, though, the kids that are doing the throwing drills, when they see kids do the recycle bin drill, they're going to want to do it. So you let them do it after practice. And what this drill is that you take your recycle bin and you segregate the dangerous items from the non-dangerous items. And what you do is you put different items like empty plastic bottles on top of the tee and you have them hit it. I've used everything from empty bottles to big Tide plastic containers. And the kids seem to love this, though, too, for whatever reason. Okay? That's the recycle bin drill. Now, I also do the recycle bin toss drill. I do that later in the seasons where I'll do a toss, throw it up, and they have to hit it. I use one of those big red plastic bats. kids get stimulated. They're going to be familiar with recycling just because they've seen you separate different items. All right. All right. Before we go to the next drill or game, I'll give you an advanced tip. If some of you parents or coaches are going to continue coaching baseball and softball, remember that I always tell you that I give players numbers when they arrive at practice. First one there is number 1, second one number 2, and so on. And when I do batting practice, this is the order that they'll bat. This really motivates kids and it motivates their parents to get the players on time to practice, okay? So that's a good point. It works. Please use it. I've said it before. The other thing you want to do in the course of batting practice, again, we're talking about kids that are older than T-ball. This is what I call an advanced tip. A lot of these kids are going to have their own bats. And what I try to do one practice out of the year, I run the batting practice where they have to use a different bat. I want to make sure that they're not so in love with their bat that if they forget their bat or they misplace it and can't find it, they don't get upset and aren't able to hit or don't think they can hit with another bat. So I do it once a year. Sometimes I get complaints from parents. They'll call me up. They say, Coach, I spent $225 on a bat and you won't let my son use it. And I have to explain to them what I'm doing. All right. So that's an advanced tip. All right. Let's get back to T-ball. This is a game I call baseball soccer. And what I do is I take 2 cones or 2 soccer poles and I put them apart and I put a whole bunch of soft covered baseballs down. And on the go command, players have to run up. Now you could do this with 1 player, 2 players, 3 players. And I've done it with different teams, one team versus another team. On the go command, they have to pick up the balls and throw it between the cones. All right. So the cones are really symbolizing soccer goal, and they have to pick up the balls and throw it between them. Now, the beauty of this drill is, depending upon the time of season or the age or whatever, you could adjust the width of the cone. Remember, this I use as a competition, and I found that kids love competition, really, no matter what the age, even as young as T-ball. You don't want to overdo it. And when I say they love competition, you don't want to have everything as competition, okay? T-ball should be very, very relaxed, a lot of positive reinforcement. You want to always have the kids in a position to succeed. Trust me, after T-ball, it's going to get very competitive. You'll see that they're going to be put into a pressure cooker sometimes. You want to avoid that. Our goal is to have them return for the next year to play baseball or softball. That's what we want them to do. We don't want to drive players away from the game of baseball and softball. Our biggest competition for baseball and softball today is our lacrosse, soccer, and boredom. And that's what we're trying to overcome, those 3 things. We can do something about the boredom, and we do that through stimulating practices. I then next go right to base running. And this is a drill that is called the base-to-base drill. And just the concept is the running to more than one base. And what I do is, first of all, if you notice, I have it here where each base looks kind of a different color. I learned a while ago in T-ball that if I take a drop-down base, 2 of them, and I spray paint one red and one blue, so I have red, white, and blue. Red is first, white second, blue is third. The colors of the American flag. Some kids know the colors of the American flag. And what we're doing that way is that we're teaching the kids to run in the correct direction. And I think I did it backwards because I'm behind. So they want to go first, second, third, and home. Okay. keep in mind, I'm looking from behind, so it's coming up backwards. Okay, so we're going, the kids will line up on the go command. They'll go from first to second. Okay, the next player will go, he'll go from first to second. The player at second will go to third. And you have to have a coach or a pair on each base, and the next player will do the same thing. Players, we're getting them all involved. And after we do that, what we do is we line up at a different base after home. We'll line up at first, and the first player will go from first to third. Okay, then they'll line up at, well, actually, we have second, and they go from second to third. We can line up at second and go from second to home. You have to have assistant coaches there. Base running, I've said this before, if you're going to continue to coach in softball and baseball, practice base running. You'll become a better coach. You'll become one of the only coaches in your league that does practice base running. If you practice base running anywhere from ages from 10 to 18, baseball and softball, and you investigate it, you can get an extra 1 to 2 runs per game. So I'm big on base running. Make sure you practice base running as you coach the older kids. Okay. And I always say, look, it's one thing to tell the players from the third base coaching box what to do, but if you show them and practice it, it's much better for the kids. They'll absorb it more. Okay, let's see. There was one other thing I wanted to mention on the base to base drill, but that's it. Don't listen in T-ball. Don't be too concerned when they're older. You know, we want them to touch the inside of the base. But don't worry about it in the T-ball too much. We don't want to overcoach too much. We don't want to overcoach and underteach, okay? The next one I do is, it's a regular game of running bases, where, as you know, excuse me, players will go back and forth from one area to another, and here it's between the cones, and the coaches have to throw the ball, and the players have to get there without getting tagged. All right? So it's a great game as a coach. You know, pick and choose what you do. You don't want the same winner every time. Okay? Remember, practice base running. Remember, all kids develop at different paces. And after that, I go right into the scrimmage. And if you've seen our other modules, I highly recommend you look at them. I start out dividing the team in half. I have 2 scrimmages going on. Usually it's 12 players, so it's 6 on one and 6 on the other. Use parents to fill in the spots on the field. We do that for like about an inning. Okay. And then we combine and have a team scrimmage. Okay, and another technique, if kids are having, really young kids are having trouble hitting the ball off the tee, and we'll have a special session on hitting, you want to take animal stickers and put them on the ball. This will help the player to focus on the ball, not to move their head, and tell them, let's say, hit the giraffe, hit the elephant, or whatever. We're going to get back to the trivia question as we close this out. I just want to point out, first of all, please subscribe to this channel. It's very important to me. I want to keep this format going, and please share it with your league. If you can, please give me a thumbs up. If you want to make a comment, please do, positive or negative. Any suggestions, I'm happy to take them. I just want to improve. I'm sharing my 30 years of coaching. And I just want to talk to you about a product or organization I got involved in. I've gotten a number of emails that people want to talk to me one-to-one, one-on-one. I got involved with a company. It's called talkw.me, and I'll put the link below. So it's talkw.me. This is a vehicle where you could speak one-to-one to me, or actually, if you look at their website, it's a brand new company. If you're looking to learn something, you want to speak to a coach or a teacher one-to-one, I recommend you check out talkw.me, and I'll put my own personal link to that website. As far as products, very popular T-ball skills and drills. It's probably my #1 seller for T-ball. I highly recommend it. Okay, you go to Amazon, type in my name or the title, it'll come up. If you don't have the money, don't pay for it. Ask your library to get it, or you could go to Amazon Kindle. I think it's free for different programs. And the next one is T-ball drills. The second book I wrote on T-ball has 110 drills. This sample practice is right from there, so I recommend those two books. I'll put a couple of links down for some videos, T-ball skills and drills video. You'll check it out. I highly recommend it. Make sure when you're coaching, you have a parents meeting. It'll cut down a lot of the complaints, anywhere from 40 to 60% of the complaints, but you will get complaints even at the T-ball level. All right, let's get back to the trivia question. Again, please subscribe. The question was, who was the only pitcher to win 3 Major League Baseball World Series on his team in 3 different decades? Okay. Was it Cy Young, Sandy Koufax, Jim Palmer, or Lefty Grove? The answer is Jim Palmer. He did it in the 1960s, 1970s, and 1980s. Those are the 3 decades. Jim Palmer was a great pitcher with a lifetime ERA of 2.86. In the postseason, in 17 games, he was 8-3, 2 shutouts, and he had an ERA of, I believe it was 2.61. So that's the answer. So for Marty Schupak and T-Ball America, and check out that talkw.me. Please review if you like this module. Look at our other T-ball modules. And until next time, I'll see you at third base.